Well, will we finally have Anthony Albanese meeting Donald Trump? That's what we had reporting from our political editor, Andrew Clennell. Joining me now for more on this is former Queensland Labor Premier, Annastacia Palaszczuk. Thank you very much for your time. What do you make of this? I mean, in hindsight, that it's gone on this long and basically every other major leader has had a meeting with Donald Trump now. I bet you Anthony Albanese would think, I wish I had an earlier meeting. Was there an earlier moment perhaps just to do this and get it out of the way?
Well, I think it was always on the agenda, Tom. He planned to have that meeting, of course, and we saw what happened in the Middle East. And I don't think anyone would have thought that Donald Trump, the US president, should not have gone and attended to the issues that were happening in the Middle East. Also, at that time, he didn't meet with other leaders. So, look, I think it's high on our Prime Minister's agenda. As soon as that opportunity is there, he will obviously have that meeting. The US is a very, very strong ally to Australia and vice versa. So, of course, that meeting is high on the PM's to-do list.
Other leaders have just gone, right, I'll go to Washington. That means, you know, it's only a couple of hours out of Donald Trump's schedule. Do you think there's concern from the Prime Minister around how some of these White House press conferences have gone?
No, I don't think so, because at the right time, of course, you know, when you're Prime Minister, you've got a lot of things to deal with. There's domestic issues as well. We can all remember last term, people were criticising the Prime Minister for travelling too much. So he's getting the balance right. He's got domestic issues to deal with at home here. And when the time is right, he will secure that meeting. And I am sure it is going to be a very, very productive meeting, and you'll see a lot of good outcomes from it.
All right, well, we'll see. It's you never know with Donald Trump, but I'm sure it'll happen at some stage and then we'll be able to judge it. Hey, GST is on the agenda, a bit of a squabble between Queensland and Victoria, but nothing new there. I just wonder, when federal Labor's talking around tax reform, it's doing so through the prism of we need to fix the federal budget. Are the states going to be willing to help if that's the main issue the federal treasurer is trying to address?
Look, full marks to Jim Chalmers for having this economic roundtable next month. And I think, you know, all ideas are on the table. He's also raised concerns about raising the GST because you'd have to have a huge compensation aspect there for people who can't afford it. So I don't think that's going to be clearly on the agenda. But the way it works, and having served as Premier, all the treasurers usually meet and they have their bucket of wish lists for tax reform. Then the premiers will meet with the Prime Minister and they usually have their issues and they carve it backwards. So I think, look, now there may be an appetite for tax reform. It'll be really interesting to see what Jim Chalmers puts on the table and to see the reaction of the state premiers to that. The GST carve-up, Queensland has done badly this time. We've done badly in the past. You know, there does need to be reform at some stage. So let's see what Jim Chalmers puts on the table. But good to see Ted O'Brien being asked to that meeting. That's fantastic to see. And, you know, the opposition has to put forward their ideas as well. Yeah, OK.
You're glad the olive branch was extended. I'm interested if you think states will be on board with the other part of Jim Chalmers' message, which was he wants ideas that are either budget neutral or budget positive. And we know so many of these meetings, and you've been at them, states ultimately end up often saying, hey, what's in it for us? Do you think now is a time when leaders around the country, even if they are on different sides, such as Queensland, the Queensland Premier at the moment, are willing to say, yes, let's improve productivity for the sake of the nation rather than what's in it for us?
I think they'll all want to improve productivity. That's a big issue out there. We do have a skills shortage. We do have big builds happening in the states across the nation, so something does need to be done. But when it comes to tax reform, the big levers are at the federal level. So I think the states will be looking for Jim Chalmers here, especially in terms of leadership, what they can offer. There'll be a bit of a squabble, but if they all go there in good faith, you know, anything can happen. So let's wait and see. You know, federal Labor has a big mandate here and Jim Chalmers is talking about big reforms. So let's see what's on the table.
Yeah, indeed. He'll need the states and, yeah, not always singing from the same song sheet, but I suppose you never know. There was plenty of cooperation during COVID, of course. Let me ask you finally, a green hydrogen project, call it what you want, mothballed or scrapped in Queensland, is the reality of green hydrogen, and when you were Premier, you know, you were essentially betting on it, as was the federal Labor government, is the idea just not stacking up economically right now?
Tom, you're exactly right. That's exactly what's happening. And it's not just here in Queensland and Australia and around the world. Hydrogen is proving to be in the too hard basket. The price is not right. So people are looking around solar, batteries, conversations around gas, making more gas supply available domestically. Energy is perhaps one of the most critical issues on the agenda. Hydrogen is just too hard at the moment. And until the prices come down, I don't think we'll see those projects taking off the ground. But yes, a little bit disappointing because hydrogen was high on my agenda when I was Premier. It was high on the national agenda, but it just doesn't stack up. So I can understand why this has happened at this particular point in time.
So when your government, and others as well, but when your government helped tip in essentially seed money, were you just told figures that haven't stacked up in the end? Were you told numbers and improvement in technology on green hydrogen that you think in hindsight just weren't accurate?
Yeah, well, no, you've got to be in it to win it. So, you know, when there's new technologies out there, whoever's going to crack green hydrogen is going to make a lot of money. So you've got to be in it to win it. So, you know, the good partnerships were happening with the state enterprises, but also too with other countries. But it was just found to be too difficult in these circumstances. So, you know, a lot of things take off, others don't. This was just in the too hard basket at the moment. That's not to say it's not going to happen down the track, but, you know, the seed funding was necessary at the time, but there's other projects now that are taking off in terms of whether it's battery technology, whether it's your solar, your wind farms. These are more economical. Gas prices are better than, you know, the price on hydrogen.
Annastacia Palaszczuk, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Have a good day.